Hey, I'm Fred Minnick, and when I first got into whiskey about 15 years ago, craft whiskey was not something consumers were really excited about. They would hear something as a craft whiskey and like, ooh, yeah, it's gonna be over oaked, it's gonna have this craft note in it, and no one can really figure out. It's not going to taste good. So you have a large contingency of American whiskey fans who were kind of brought up in their tasting experience to think that craft whiskey is bad. And for the most part, they were right. There was a lot of craft whiskey between 2008 and 2016 that just did not meet the criteria of what is a good whiskey. Now, some people would say, well, you need to support the distillers and everything, and I agree with that. You need to support them as much as you can, but there also needs to be a balance there, that the whiskey's got to be good, and you need to support the people who are producing things that you like. You shouldn't really buy something from somebody just because you want them to do well. That's almost like placating them or feeling sorry for them. So I believe that we should support people we respect. And right now, craft distillers need your support more than ever. Now, I will tell you, I don't necessarily like all whiskeys that come from craft distillers, but I respect them. And I respect what they have been trying to do over the years, from using different grains, to using different barrel types, different types of woods, and using different fermentation and distillation techniques. But right now, because of COVID, because of the tariffs that are just beating down on them, they're unable to get their products overseas. They're unable to get tourists in their facilities to have a taste at their tasting room. They need your support. Craft whiskey needs your support, and we need craft whiskey to survive this. Coming out of COVID, we need craft distillers because they are genuinely the future. They are genuinely giving us different flavor profiles that the old school Kentucky distillers cannot produce, or rather they choose not to produce. And it's interesting, you know, in 2010, the younger craft distillers were doing things like using oats and using different chocolate malts and different types of grains and different types of barrel finishes. And at the time, the large distillers were like, oh, no, you don't want to do that. That's not how you make whiskey. And now they're all doing the same thing. You're seeing all kinds of 4 grains come out from the larger distillers, and you're seeing the same types of barrel finishes that the craft distillers were actually doing. So the craft distillers pushed the envelope on how to make whiskey in the United States of America. So I urge you, I beg you to find a craft distiller that you like and support them as much as you possibly can. That will help them get out of COVID. Now, I'm not telling you to find one that, that has a product that you don't like. Find one that you have a respect for. Now, these are 4 craft distillers up here right now that I have an enormous respect for, and I hope everybody watching this will find a way to purchase bottles from them. Now, these were all these bottles were given to me by the distilleries, but I've also purchased bottles from these respective brands. So these are brands that I support. I've been following for a very long time, and I'm just going to go down a little tasting with them. And you know what? Maybe there's a tasting note that I pull out that says, like, you know what? I want to taste this Spirits of French Lick, or I want this Rock Hill Farms, or I want this Sonoma Distilling, or Spirit Works. Whatever it may be. I hope that you give one of these whiskeys a chance. But craft distillers need the opportunity to get in front of you, especially right now. So we're going to start with Spirit Works. Now they're coming out of Sonoma, California. Now you'll see all their information right there in terms of what this whiskey is, but this is the 4 grain. Now Spirit Works just received the Distiller of the Year award from the American Distilling Institute, so congratulations to them. So this is their 4 grain, and it's just coming in the grains are corn, wheat, rye, and barley. So that's a pretty standard 4 grain if you're going to do a 4 grain. Definitely some brown sugar, some butter on that nose. Oh wow, that's excellent. Excellent. Has like a real beautiful hazelnut note, a coffee note. I highly recommend this. So do what you can to find this bottle. This is 4 grain straight bourbon whiskey coming out of Sonoma, California in Spirit Works. That is absolutely delicious. So we're going to stay in Sonoma, but this is Sonoma Distilling Company. This is a straight rye. You can see all the information on it right here. This is a straight rye single barrel. It's 5 years old. Now again, I bring up the whole craft whiskey thing. I'm bringing this up because, you know, there's a lot of issues that are happening in the world, but the distilled spirits industry is one that's highly taxed. And craft distillers got a special tax relief called the Craft Modernization Act that basically allowed them to pay a lesser excise tax, and that's up for renewal. And if that does not come through, we're going to see a lot of small distillers likely go out of business because they can't get out into the market. They can't get in front of people, you know, like they could pre-COVID, pre-tariffs. And so I'm hopeful, you know, that bringing attention to some really good craft distillers out there, it gives you an opportunity to find them and support them. And if you have a favorite craft distiller, put it in the comment section while we're going on here, and I'll look them up and talk about them. Okay, so this rye definitely is rye. It's a big old rye smell. You gotta love that. It's like chocolate over chocolate and rye bread. Wow, that's really good. Man, that's a rye whiskey that can compete with just about any rye whiskey. I'd be buying this rye whiskey right here that they distilled at their distillery over most 5-year-old MGP ryes. This is excellent. And it is a single barrel. So with single barrels, you always have a risk of, like, maybe the one that I'm tasting, which again was given to me by the distillery, is not as good as the one that you would buy. So that is always a risk with single barrels, especially when it's coming from the distillery. But I can tell you what I tasted right here is fantastic. Let's go to the next product here, a cherry wood rye whiskey. So what they're doing here is they're using cherry wood to smoke. I believe that they are, yeah, so they're smoking the malted barley with cherry wood. So smoking is when you're trying to get the barley to malt, you know, they'll smoke it underneath there. Similar to the Scotch producers, but they're doing it with cherry wood. And of course, cherry wood is very popular in grilling, smoking. Okay, not as hot on the nose. Yeah, not very hot on the nose here. The nose smells like too woody. Yeah, I don't dig this one. It comes in really, really smoky, almost briny, and it just, honestly, it tastes like barbecue. And I don't, while I love barbecue, I don't want to taste barbecue in my whiskey. And so if a whiskey comes to me and it tastes like it came right off the grill, you know, I'm typically not going to like it. So that is one that I'm not going to be as high on as the rye. But again, like I said, I'm not trying to tell you to buy things just because someone's a craft distiller. I'm telling you to buy things that are good and support people who are making good product so they can get out of this COVID situation on the other side. And craft distillers are actually making really, really good whiskey right now. A lot of them, like Sonoma, have 5-year-old whiskey under their belts right now, sitting in warehouses, but they just cannot get it to people. So you have to go out of your way to find craft distillers right now, because they're not getting the same kind of distribution attention as they did pre-COVID. So hopefully this little tasting here will bring you some attention to a new product. So here we go with the Sonoma Distilling. This is a single barrel. Let's see. So this is a rye as well. It is a single barrel straight rye. It's the cherry wood. Basically the same thing here. That's just cherry wood. So it's got that cherry wood malted barley in there, and it's a single barrel. Okay. Again, I'm not a fan of the nose, but it's not as in your face as the previous one. The cherry wood is quite a bit softer on the nose, but it's still prevalent. And underneath that is just a little bit of like a burnt honey. Okay. Now I dig this one. Now this is a single barrel reserve. The cherry wood straight rye is just, it's not over smoked like the last one. And it actually comes in like a little bit like a bread pudding or a vanilla pudding or like a custard. And then with some rye bread. So I like this quite a bit, but still I'm definitely liking the basic rye single barrel over the other two. But if you're into checking things out that are different, you know, definitely give Sonoma's cherry wood malted barleys a shot, because you're gonna see like that is a different way to get flavor into your whiskey that's outside of the traditional methods that have been used in Kentucky for ages. So check out some of the Sonoma products and definitely see if that kind of, you know, fits your palate. Again, I'm not wanting to taste barbecue with my whiskey necessarily. I like to have a little bit more balance. So I'm going to be picking the single barrels. If I'm going to be going to the store today, I'm going to be buying these 2 single barrels over this one for sure. So now I'm going to go on to Spirits of French Lick. Spirits of French Lick is in Indiana. This is a brand that's actually very near and dear to my heart, because you know, this was the first distillery I brought my son to, and you know, Oscar was 2 or 3 years old, and we went there for the grand opening, and he was walking around in the warehouse slapping barrels, saying, "Daddy, bourbon, Daddy, bourbon." And so, like, when you talk about whiskey, when you talk about all of this, you know, really it's about the people and it's about the families and everything. And you know, Alan Bishop is a distiller here, and he's just good people, and I'm always rooting for him. But he also knows that if his whiskey sucks, I'm going to tell him. And fortunately, the stuff he's been making has been really good. Now you can go into past episodes and see me tasting the Matty Gladden and also the Lee Sinclair. So both of these fared extremely well. And I also tasted one of them with a celebrity, I believe. It was Daryl Hall of Hall & Oates. Sipped on a little bit of the Lee Sinclair. So I'm a big fan of what Spirits of French Lick is doing, because he's bringing back some old school distillation techniques. And this is the unpretentious high rye straight bourbon whiskey finished in port wine cask. Now this is a 55% corn, 35% rye, 10% malt. And this is one of the hottest products on the secondary market. Now, I've never tasted it. This is the first time I have gotten this bottle, and he did send this to me, so thank you for that, Alan. So this is the first time I have I've tasted it. Now, I'm going to read you the label here because it's called Unpretentious, and I find it hilarious that people sometimes think I'm pretentious because I wear an ascot. If people knew the story of why I wear ascots, you would, it's not at all pretentious. I don't wear this to be pretentious, and nor do I hold myself like, oh my, look at this over here. I'm better than you. That's not who I am. That's not what I try to aspire to be. But anyway, I want to read you the definition of unpretentious. I, not attempting to impress others with an appearance of greater importance, talent, or culture than is actually possessed. So there you go. So this is an unpretentious, high-rye spirits of French lick, and it goes crazy on the secondary market. Ooh, I can see why people like this. It's got a big old fruit bomb on it. Real fruity. I'm talking like plum, pear, apple. Oh, that smells good. I just want to keep smelling. It's almost like a bunch of baked pies. This is like a southern kitchen with a bunch of fried and baked pies in it. All fruit. Holy hell. Wow. That is indeed special. This is the balance you hope to find in a barrel finish. The port is by no means overpowering. It's complementary. It's providing the fruit while you can still taste the grains, and you can still get a lot of like the savory notes, like the pies and everything. This is absolutely fucking delicious. And I would say too that if I was, I may throw this in the mix of some other more mainstream port barrel finishes to see how it fares in a blind tasting. I think this is special. I do. Wow. That's how you do a port. That's how you do a barrel finish right there. Balance, chocolate, all the fruit in the world, pie crust, and then a dose of spice like pepper spices. Just gorgeous. Just gorgeous. Fantastic. All right, so now I'm going to move on to Rocktown. Now, Rocktown, this was one of Dave Pickrell's like early consulting gigs, and Phil Brandon is the distiller there, and he's been a friend of mine for a while, and he's in Arkansas, and Arkansas is kind of one of the more backward states when it comes to distilling, which is ironic because they had all these like backwoods moonshiners. And, you know, Phil kind of comes in and puts Arkansas on the map. Now, there are a lot of critics who like this one. Jim Murray, in particular, has been very high on them over the years. I have actually kind of been neutral to a little bit more downgrading on some of their releases. But I will always say that, again, I respect Phil, and I respect Rocktown, and I respect what they are doing. I may not like all of their whiskey, but I'll always give it a shot, and I would always recommend it for those who are wanting to learn more about whiskey and the different styles. And I do believe that Phil has been able to create a unique profile for a region not really known for making whiskey. So here we go. This is the Arkansas Sour Mash straight bourbon whiskey. So an Arkansas Sour Mash. Now, growing up in Oklahoma, you know, we had a few jokes about Arkansas. I probably would get kicked off of YouTube if I shared them here. But just Google Arkansas jokes and you'll find some good ones. Okay, so the nose is really good. It's got some cornbread notes, some caramel, a little bit of vanilla, some honey. I mean, it's skewing toward like a lot of the Heaven Hill products smell. I really dig that. Oh yeah, it starts off with a hint of smoke, then comes in underneath with the cornbread, the honey, just a touch of jalapeno. Yeah, good job. And some cherry. Oh boy, there's some cherry there. Cherry, finishing strong with a big old cherry pie. Big old cherry pie. So fantastic whiskey. Yeah, that one. This could be at 92 proof. This could be an everyday sipper. You know, if you're into that sort of thing, if you like to have a little nip every day, I would say put that in your rotation with the old Granddad Bottle and Bonds and the old Forester 100s. You know, put this in the rotation. Yeah, good job. Good job there, Rocktown. Now, this is a special one here. This is their second batch of their Bottle and Bond. Of course, Bottle and Bond is a very important, very historic label in American whiskey. It means it has to be at least 4 years old, distilled at one distillery in one distilling season, and bottled at 100 proof. There's a lot more that goes with it. If you want to learn more about Bottle and Bond, you can check out my book, Bourbon, The Rise, Fall, and Rebirth of American Whiskey. I have quite a bit on there in that. So I'm getting some nice notes of like cotton candy, like a cotton candy stand in the fair, followed by almonds, like baked almonds. And vanilla. Oh yeah, he nailed that one. I think that might be the best. This is the best product I've tasted coming out of Rocktown, and this is exciting. This is the best Rocktown product I've ever tasted, and I would dare say that this would be in the mix for like a lot of like craft bourbon of the year kind of conversations. It is fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. And you like to see this kind of growth in a distillery, because I remember tasting Rocktown when, you know, I got hints of drywall in there. Yeah, I did. I really did. I got a hint of drywall with one of their first releases. And you can keep seeing them coming back and coming back and coming back, and they kept improving and kept improving. And then look at this. You know, this is a fantastic example of how distilleries can improve year after year after year, but they cannot do it without support. So that's why I urge you in this time especially to find a small distiller that is making whiskey, and you know, they may not necessarily make everything they make you may not necessarily like, but find that one thing in their portfolio that you do like and support them as much as you possibly can, because right now they need it more than the larger distillers. Now, larger distillers, don't get me wrong, they need the support as well. They have sales staff, everybody, you know, to support down the system. But the small distillers, they don't have much of a bankroll, and you know, they need as much support as we can give them right now. So if you can go to a store, if you can buy online, you know, try to find one of these products, or try to find a craft distiller that you like. I just tasted all of these except these two, and I liked or loved all of them but one. And so I think now is the time that craft distillers have kind of crossed over that edge. They're over that hump. And now that they're over that hump, we're in the middle of a friggin' pandemic. So it's on us as consumers to try and help those and get them past this. So let's do what we can and support the good craft distillers that we really like. And I respect all of these and highly recommend that you check them all out. So that's going to do it for me on this quick tasting episode. Well, I guess it's not that quick. I've been chatting it up for a few minutes now. But if you like what you've seen here, click the subscribe button, give us a like, put in the comment section what distilleries that you really, really like that are small, and I'll see if I can taste their stuff and kind of give them a review, good or bad. But the fact is get that information out there. We need to do what we can to support these small guys. But I appreciate everybody. Be safe out there. Don't go licking trash cans. Don't go licking handrails. And be socially distanced. Wear your mask and be kind to one another. I'm going to toast you with little Rock Hill, little Rocktown. I'm going to toast you with a little bit of Rocktown Bottled and Bond. Kudos to you guys for making something so good. Cheers.